Hello, YouTube. This is Largo60. Excuse me. A very good friend of mine who is a devout Christian and I had a discussion a while back about Proposition 8, California's referendum to ban same-sex marriage. It was an attempt to introduce religious law into secular law. That's what I said. She did not agree. What follows is part of our correspondence on that topic. She writes, "But Prop 8, I have to disagree with your interpretation. It wasn't an attempt to introduce religious law into secular law. It was an attempt to defend traditional marriage, which is nearly always or always between a man and a woman, from radical gay groups and their agenda." My answer: you're so wrong on both counts. First, the prohibition of gays from getting married is only based on religious belief that homosexuality is a sin. And that based entirely on the Bible and or the Quran. Please allow me a little dissertation on why that is. In tribal times, it was necessary to increase populations as quickly as possible. Infant mortality was very high, lifespan was short, and a tribe's survival likely depended as much on numbers as anything else. Tribal elders naturally thought that anyone who didn't contribute to the overall well-being of the tribe was anathema, if I can borrow a little term from the Catholics. It's the same reason God or someone smote and killed Onan, although his sin was not homosexuality. Onan is interesting, though, because his story has been used by many in modern times to demonstrate that masturbation is a sin. Quoted to me when I was a boy, and to many with Christian mothers and grandmothers, was that Onan spilled his seed upon the ground and God struck him dead. When you read the story in context, you find that Onan wasn't masturbating. He had been ordered by the tribal elders to take his dead brother's wife as his own and get her pregnant. Again, the desire was to increase the size of the tribe. No fertile woman was to go childless. Onan knew, as the Bible says, that the child should not be his, so he pulled out at the last minute and spilled his seed on the ground. For this impiety, he was killed. Sorry for the digression, but as you know, I don't regard any of the Bible as heaven sent. Homosexuality was regarded as a sin in the Bible for the reasons I gave above, and not because any God found it detestable. It's another whole argument, but homosexuality is not unnatural. It is genetic. Back to Prop 8. People in California and in other states wanted to force their dogmatic belief that homosexuality is a sin upon their fellow citizens who happen to be homosexual. The fact that that was always taken for granted before never made it right or just. Every person I asked about Prop 8 told me the same thing. Homosexuality is a sin, therefore the state shouldn't sanction it. Not usually in those words. The campaign for Prop 8 in California was bankrolled from outside California by the Mormon Church. Not religious? Please. You speak of radical gay groups and their agenda. Those groups were only considered radical because they finally decided to fight back against repression. They're radical in exactly the same sense that suffragettes in the 19-teens were considered radical. Women had theretofore been expected to keep quiet and ask their husbands if they wanted to know anything. They had no voice and were thought, if I can even use the word thought in that context, to be, by men at that time, to be mentally inferior. The Prop 8 issue, to my mind, is not a matter of morality, but of civil rights. All citizens are guaranteed equal protection of the laws by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Homosexuals are citizens. She says, it was an attempt to defend traditional marriage, which is nearly always or always between a man and a woman. Traditional, yes. Fair and just? I don't think so. I don't remember who said it, but tradition is the tyranny of one's ancestors. Back to women's suffrage. Tradition had it that women should not participate in politics. Was that right? The agenda of what you call radical gay groups was only to, once and for all, guarantee the same rights to homosexuals as to all other American citizens. Marriage may be a holy estate according to the Bible, but in American law it is also a social estate. Marriage grants rights to married couples that unmarried couples don't have, including the right to survivorship, the right to be considered next of kin, the right to raise a family together, and even the right to be buried together. Those things are all denied to homosexual couples. I don't know whether you actually know any homosexuals or not. Chances are you do, whether you're aware of it or not. One gay couple I know personally have been together for more than 20 years. They don't recruit anyone to be gay. They don't swish. In public, they could be just friends. Their partnership, though, I dare say, is as strong as yours with your husband, is not recognized. They do not share the rights of other so-called straight couples. A girl I went to high school with but hadn't seen in all the years since, I saw on the front page of the San Jose Mercury News as being one who, with her same-sex partner, was married on the steps of City Hall in San Francisco during the brief period when that was legal in California. She and her partner had been together like a married couple for more than 30 years, but without the tax benefits that you and other married people enjoy. Again, it's a social issue and a civil rights issue, not a moral one. The gays I know are decent, moral people who differ from you in only one respect. But as the late comedian Rodney Dangerfield might have said, they don't get no respect. They should. She says, Prop 8 was a defensive measure, not an offensive measure, as the current status of marriage is exactly as it has been for all civilizations between males and females. It's about procreation. Please really look at it. Defensive? How does your neighbor's domestic arrangement affect yours in any way? Do you suddenly have to become as they are? No one has ever been able to answer that question for me because there is no true answer. Gay marriage doesn't destroy marriage. It expands it. That's all. As for procreation, my brother and his wife are childless after more than 30 years of marriage because they chose to be. She has a heart condition that would have made pregnancy dangerous for her, so he took permanent steps to avoid that. Their marriage, with respect to procreation, is as non-traditional as a gay one. Should they have been prohibited from getting married? Does their childless marriage somehow encroach upon your right to have children? Of course not. If I were to meet someone and decide at this late stage to marry again, should I be prohibited just because I can't bring any new people into the world? It's not about procreation. It's about prejudice, based on the needs of tribal people of the Bronze Age. Tradition indeed. Tyranny of one's ancestors is the truth. She says, it ought to be a non-issue. Who cares? I mean, I care if my family accepts me, gay or otherwise, but the state? Why the big deal? Civil rights is the reason it's a big deal.